So here we are again. Going to talk about Deadpool again. Another thing that you need to know. I've been really sick lately. A lot of things going on down in this end of the world. I'm doing these videos to have a record, have a memory. I didn't do these to set out to hurt people. That's not why I'm doing these. This is my freedom of speech I'm invoking. I got a lot of stuff going on, and maybe I might not be here in the coming weeks. Who knows? But what I wanted to talk about today was back in the 80s when I created the character Deadpool and the basis for the comic book that I assembled called X-Force. What I wanted to talk about was why Deadpool talks to the reader. And basically, when you look into a comic book, it's based on going to a theater. And, you got your left and right, and then you're in the middle of the story. And one of the things that I'm not really responsible for, and I gotta give credit where credit's due here. When I assembled all this stuff, the character was missing something, and when I had put a lot of this stuff together back then, these characters were meant to be pushing the edge of a lot of rules and regulations that they had. And if I could get away with it, then I knew I did something that was pretty cool. So, looking back on it, one of the things was you couldn't have an all-black or an all-white character. And Domino was one of those characters that was black and white. So she kind of bent those rules around. One of the other things was that going back to looking at the comic book as if you were in a theater, there's a fourth wall that the character doesn't come through to you out of the book. And when I had assembled everything back then, my mother was in the laundry room. And I remember asking her, I said, Mom, I said, this character needs just something extra to him to, make him over the top, to make him something. I said, he's already crazy. I said, take a look at this picture and tell me what you think. And my mother says, you remember the old Twilight Zone serials? Yeah, they were great. The show was great back in the late 50s and early 60s. And she says, well, why don't you have him turn and talk to the reader? And I said, Mom, you can't do that. You're breaking through the fourth wall. And she goes, well, why not make him different? He have him turn around and say, could you believe this is happening? And, on a whim, I threw that into the paper at the very last moment, and I'm not responsible for that. I got to give the credit to Mom. She doesn't say much about it now, but I credit her with that. And she's had input on this. I mean, I didn't do it all by myself. I was only 15. This is a little bit of a record for anyone that looks this up and wants to find out that here's the story. Here's how it gets put together, and if you're a kid, you could do it, but you got to do it the right way, and you got to make sure that the con artists out there and these other people that are bankrupt in their lives don't run off with your intellectual property, Controversial people have already said a lot of different things, and that's fine. Going back to Deadpool talking to the reader now, he's the only character that has done that. I mean, he's unique in that. and to have done that is really cool. You know, I understand that I don't work for them, and some people have said, oh, well, I don't believe it, you're crazy, and listen, that's fine too, but here's the other side of that coin. Maybe I'm doing this for the reason that we can go on. I'm also going to do small art pieces and put only like 25 of them out. And you can argue about that too. You know, maybe it'll be worth something to someone else someday, and let them move it on. You know, this other guy, he's inspired by Hollywood and wants to push his merchandise, and you know what? It was never about pushing merchandise. It was never about money. It was about my love of comic books. And a lot of people out there, a lot of the writers and the different people that have contacted me are really graceful, and I appreciate that. You know, some people said, well, you're crazy or whatever, and there's a lot of young people out there that I have to thank, and this is a thank you to you too. I wanted to do this so that it brought more interest into this kind of stuff and this character, and that was primarily my goal. You know, angry at the other two, we could just trace the money trail between them, and if you're an honest character creator, you kind of have a name for your guy when you come up with them. You don't need to ask your editor. I mean, you know, thin, that's pretty thin. And people you work with, I'm not going to mention names, they know it's pretty thin. I mean, they have an idea of what it's like and what goes on around you, and it's a shame, really. The only reason why they really haven't spoke out to you is because of fear for their own jobs, and I don't blame them. Coming back to this though, you know, that's one of the things, and I wanted to thank my mother for always supporting me and helping out when she does. And that's all I have to say in this video for now. And I might do a few more videos, and you know, I want to talk about Deadpool's swords next. And that's all. So until next time, people, take care, be safe, and enjoy. Read your comic books.